Robert Essinger, a physician and mathematician from Michigan, is perhaps one of the most contemporarily relevant futurists in several centuries. Widely regarded as the founder of cryogenics, Essinger was the first scientist to put into practice that old science fiction tale of bringing the dead back to life. Unlike other futurists, such as King Camp Gillette, who engineered extravagant designs that attracted much public attention but little respect from the American government itself, Essinger is arguably one of the first futurists to put his fantasy into some kind of quasi-reality. His dream, that the dead could be preserved by freezing them in sub-zero temperatures, awaiting the day that a scientist, many years later, finds a cure for what ailed them, became something of a life mission in the 1970s for Essinger when he founded the Cryonics Institute in his home state of Michigan. Like Gillette, Essinger spent countless hours at his desk penning his futurist theory, encased in his 1964 book entitled The Prospect of Immortality. Unlike Gillette, Essinger made it happen in ways that he must surely have never imagined, and in 2015, 4 years after his death, his institute was recorded as housing 135 human bodies, spawning popular culture references in everything from LA Law to Futurama. The word cryonics is now such a part of Western culture that some have confused the process with cryogenics, an error for which the powers that be at the Cryogenics Institutes must be far from pleased about, given the infamy of the cryonic craze. So why did Essinger, at least to a measurable extent, accomplish his dream? For that answer, the historian must pass through the annals of the Essinger bookcase, and make particular reference to the cornerstone of his literary career, the prospect of immortality. When reading his plans for cryonics, perhaps one of the most prevalent themes is his insistence that the cryonic freezing of humans is a practice that is an inevitable part of the future of life preservation and must inexorably develop sooner rather than later, before going on to argue that the process will eventually become customary, if not universal. Essinger's steadfast confidence in the technology surrounding cryonics may suggest a man in possession of as large an ego as an evidence base, but there are certainly signs that cryonic suspension was becoming more and more inevitable in the period. A good place to look to find support for Essinger's claims is in scholarly literature, in which we can find Oliver Kruger's 2010 assessment of the cryonics utopia in the context of contemporary US funeral culture. Kruger credits Evan Cooper with coming up with an almost identical cryonic theory to Essinger, whose 1962 book entitled Immortality, Physically, Scientifically, Now, added to Essinger's theory in that it theorized that the human corpse is like a computer that has been switched off, technically inactive, but able to be restored at any time. Cooper also offers a more critical analysis in comparison with Essinger's almost blinkered appraisal of cryonics technology, highlighting that there is no guarantee that these computer models wouldn't break down during revival, while also giving the detailed examples of how the bodies could be revived through molecular repair by way of nanomachines. What Cooper's novel tells us is that Essinger was not alone, and a large part of the reason why he succeeded is because there already existed a great deal of research and scholarly literature on the matter, which gave him a platform on which to launch his Cryonics Institute. What Cooper's text also indicates, however, is that Essinger was as much a businessman as he was a technician. Add to that the fact that Essinger was a prominent figure in the Immortalist society he helped find, and you begin to realize that this man was also gifted with a persona capable of gathering support for his cryonics mission. Most important in this point, however, is his ability as a businessman. Moreover, his ability to outlast the competition was perhaps his greatest asset. Cryonics, as our scholarly friend Oliver Kruger reveals, was a competitive startup industry in the 1960s, in which a number of individuals were battling to control the human freezing industry. Not all of these individuals fared well, and the Cryonics Society of California, which performed the first human freezings in the late 1960s, was forced out of business when 9 of its clients thawed, and the society was forced to pay around US $1 million in damages. That can't have been fun for the clients' families. So, back to the question of why Essinger is the man that comes up when you type cryonics, or cryogenics, obviously the wrong term, into your Google search bar. In short, Dr. Essinger was the spark that set off the powder keg that was the burgeoning cryonics movement. He wasn't the most innovative scientist, and in your narrator's humble opinion, he wasn't the best cryonics writer either.